Welcome guys to a quick little video here. We're here with Zent Rose again. We just got done driving a bunch of Porsche GT cars, but this is a little extra bonus episode for you guys, you Porsche fanatics. This is a 996 Carrera 2, so two-wheel drive. This has a 3.4 liter motor. This car you can get for 20 grand, 20 to 25 grand. So it represents on the extreme value side of the Porsche 911 overall market. Probably the cheapest generation 911 you can buy right now. I would say probably like the 997 is next up, which is the car I have. But this is like a late 90s design. It's the first water-cooled 911. This was like Porsche's turn of the millennium, like trying to modernize the 911 as an overall platform, as a sports car. And this is the purest form of that, the base Carrera. So it should be a blast, but it should also be a lot softer than those GT cars we just drove. So let's take it for a spin and see, for 20 grand, what do you think about it just sitting inside?
Sitting inside, I don't have any bolstering on these seats, so I'm sliding around a lot.
The stock seats are terrible.
The interior is a little bit lower grade than the other ones, but you know, for a $20,000 used car, it's not bad.
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of plastic in the 996 interior, which in the 997 they did modernize it quite a bit, but it wasn't really until the 991 that the 911 interior really became like a more luxurious interior, in my opinion. But straight away, this car is just so easy to drive hard. It's, you know, obviously softer around the edges than those GT cars, but we're still dealing with 300 horsepower here, very linear power band, very easy to use manual transmission, very light shifter compared to the 997 GT3 and GT2. Everything about this car has just a delicate touch to it. Now this car has done 104,000 miles. And outside of a little bit of squeaks and rattles you get from the interior and a little bit of a shake in the steering wheel, it feels pretty fresh. Like the previous owner definitely took good care of this car. At high speed, it's very stable, very comfortable. Suspension's really soft, but even so, there's not excessive body roll. Let's flip it around here and see what it really feels like in terms of acceleration. All right. Yeah, it makes a good sound still. I mean, look, 300 horsepower is not a lot by today's standards, but out on the open road, the benefit of that is you actually get to enjoy and use the power. You work that gearbox. This engine has good torque, but it really thrives above 4,000 RPM. So it gives you every reason to rev it out. Yeah, it's so natural to drive. Solid brake pedal as well.
All right. Yeah, the racing seat makes a huge difference. Coming over here, I'm held in place.
I was just gonna say, I'm just moving side to side in this thing.
Yeah. Oh man, this is pretty great. For the mileage, it doesn't feel like it has
104,000 miles in any other car, and it'd be like
falling apart.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be doing some stuff to it. One thing I really like about these is, even though it's a rear engine, that engine comes out so easy.
Yeah.
Have you dropped the engine on any of your
I've never
Porsches?
dropped it fully, but I have loosened the engine mounts to drop it about an inch or two.
Okay.
Do some work. Yeah, it's very easy to do. It's just a single bolt.
Yeah.
These 996 generation 911s, they're criticized for mainly two things.
Yeah.
The first thing is the fried egg headlights, which people hate.
Right.
And the second thing is that pesky IMS bearing.
Right.
Because these M96 engines, they came with a fatal flaw, which is the IMS bearing. Like, if that bearing doesn't get properly lubricated, so if you're like, garaging the car, you don't drive it that much, and it doesn't get lubricated well, the bearing can break and it send little bits of metal into the cylinder block. Yeah. And so once that happens, your engine's toast.
This is great though.
Right? Like, it drives so well when it works, but when that IMS bearing goes, you're screwed. Thankfully, you can get the LN Engineering IMS bearing upgrade, which is a lot more reliable. But still, these engines have oil starvation issues, or scoring issues. They're not a very well-designed engine by Porsche. In the grand scheme of things, this is one of the worst Porsche engines.
Yeah, and I think that some of them last a very long time. We started driving ours really hard, and I think that's probably what killed it. If we just went out and enjoyed it like this, I don't think it would have blown up.
Yeah, I think the main thing with these is you don't want to get them too hot, first of all. And the second thing is you want to drive them frequently.
That shifter is so satisfying.
Yeah.
I just love doing that. It's great. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, the front end of this car isn't as pointy as a GT3 or GT2, obviously. I mean, you know, these cars have a lot less negative camber from the factory, and even if you want to align it to have more, you actually have to upgrade to the GT3 lower control arms to get more camber.
Oh, okay.
So, not really designed to be a track car from the box, out of the box.
Right.
But the tuning potential of these cars is quite high. There's a lot of mods available.
Okay, nice.
It's a very analog 911 feel.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, it's pretty refined.
Mm-hmm. I think if he threw an exhaust on here, so we could hear that engine a little bit more, it would sound pretty nice.
It's pretty quiet from inside.
Right. But it has a nice note to it as you rev it out.
Yeah. The induction note's really nice.
Oops, rocks there.
Yeah, I describe this car as it's kind of like a calculated risk. Like you buy one for 20, 30 grand. Probably at most 30 grand for a really clean one.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, you probably want to make sure the previous owner did the IMS bearing. You probably want to do a PPI, check for bore scoring, all the typical 996 things. But once you do, if everything checks out, it's a car you can enjoy on a daily basis. It's not a car personally I would take to the racetrack too much. But as a street canyon car, this is the IMS bearing being a problem is almost a benefit if you're a budget-oriented car enthusiast, because this car would not be 20 grand if there was no IMS bearing issue.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, the stark contrast, right? Like, this is a 20 grand 911. That GT2 right there, 170 grand.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can get almost 8 of these for the price of that one car.
Yeah.
When you put it in that perspective, it's like, this car makes so much sense.
Right, yeah.
Again, as long as you're using it with a good, like, use case where you're not just completely worried about, like, the engine blowing up, because that is a very real thing with these. Mm-hmm. Even though I think the internet probably overblows the problem a bit, it's always on the back of your mind if you're a 996 or 997 owner.
I would say that, like, when you talked about taking to the track, that's where I've seen the most failures. I've seen multiple failures on the racetrack following these cars around. Yeah. And that's when we had problems with ours. We started driving it very hard, and I think that if you don't do that, it might be okay. Like I said, but I'm not going to guarantee it. Right. Nothing's guaranteed. At the end of the day, these engines just don't really like that much heat, so you got to keep an eye on your oil and water temps. Luckily, it has gauges for both. But yeah, drive it often, but don't push it to the absolute brink of its capability. Let us know what you guys think of the 996 Carrera and 997 for that matter. They share the same engine. Is it worth the risk to buy one of these for 20 to 30 grand and drive it around? And would you track one of these cars? Personally, I am still hesitant to track my 997. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick take on a 996 Carrera, and I'll see you next time.